Are you concerned about all this corruption being misgendered as conspiracies? Well, don't you worry. Sit back, relax, and join in the conversation as we talk with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
Hello and welcome to the channel. It's me, Kristofer Brooks, for another LSB Film podcast. I hope everyone's well. Today I've got the marvellous Mark Byford back, aka the Bowler Hat Farmer, and today we're going to discuss the plans that he has coming up with regards to his tour that he's doing, where he's going around the country giving speeches and just getting to know communities. And we're going to talk about the very important Food Finders Hub. And yeah, we're going to talk about that and how vital that is as part of our survival strategy moving forward. These are all things which are going to help us to sustain ourselves whilst the you-know-what hits the you-know-what. So welcome to the show, Mark.
Chris, good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much
My
for having
pleasure,
me back on the channel
as
again.
Always. So it's all kind of gone sky upwards for you.
Yes, we have had an interesting month. We obviously lost Ray, who ran the farm, which was a sad, sad day. But that has now opened up, from my side, I think a positive, Chris, because it's enabled me now to make the decision, to make the stand I needed to do to take the Bowler Hat Farmer on tour, to talk about what the challenges are for farmers, how the food system is corrupt, how the public need to think about different solutions to buying their food, and the quality of that food as well, to making sure they buy something that's actually good rather than, chicken nuggets, which is poisoned with about 25 toxins on the way through the processing system. So my thought is now that I'm going to take that as a positive, what has sadly happened. And we're in Thetford this weekend for the Great Resist. Then we are off to Burnley on Sunday. And then we are back for 3 weeks. And then we are away for 6 months, touring the country. Are
you excited?
Do you know what, Chris? I'm 57 and I've never been to Cornwall. I've never driven across the Scottish border. And I looked at a map and I was like, right, where are we going? And we've got Liz Phillips, who runs a Great Resist. She's doing a demonstration down at Hurst. We're going right down to Kent for her. We're going right down to the other end of to Land's End to meet someone down there who's got a farm. And then we're heading right the way up, all the way through the country, right up to John O'Groats.
So basically, you're doing what they all do with the bikes. You're going from Land's End to John O'Groats.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of stops in between. It's going to take us about, realistically, I want to be in and out of Scotland by the end of September before the weather changes. So, but we have had numerous people contact us, Chris, about speeches. We've got various people meeting us along the way to do talks as well, like Andrew Bridgen, Richard Vobes, Catherine McBean, Sovereign Pete. There's loads of different people doing talks alongside us to assist and help, in getting the message out there. Because there's lots of different, what we tend to find when we do the speeches, Chris, there's lots of different people come to view it. It might be that there's the gardener at home, or, the lady who just cooks dinner to, a farmer. So we have to kind of cater for everybody within that. The big thing within all of this from our side really is to get the message out, because we're up against two major things, in my opinion. So one, we have the issue that, in my belief, within the next very short period of time, food is going to become very short in the UK. And I don't think that the mass of people are prepared for that. The second part, obviously, is that the government are doing their utmost at present to break British farming, and they seem to think we're going to import all this food. If that is genuinely what they think, I'm doubtful that they actually want us to import anything either. But here's the crux to this, Chris, because at the moment, according to all calculations, by 2030, that magic number we keep hearing about, by 2030, we will be in a position that we only produce 20% of the food needed for the UK residents as it sits at the moment. without it growing any further, that is 20%. You can't sustain a country on 20% of its food being produced on site. So, we need to change government policy. We need to get the farmers to understand they need to farm in a different manner. They need to be looking at sustainability. They need to be looking at organic. They need to be looking at, densely nutritious, healthy food. And that, sadly, in my opinion, is missing on the whole at the moment. And we need to take farmers back 50 years before petrochem came along and get them to understand putting the goodness back in the soil, and the goodness in the soil will feed the food, and the food will feed us.
No, that's right. That's true. They need to be re-educated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you find the farmers on the whole? Because they're a bit of it's a bit of a Marmite thing, isn't it, with some of them? Some of them you really want to get behind and really support them. And then other ones, they do just seem to be, I don't know.
Yeah, I think what I will say is there's a lot more farmers are wide awake now than there was. A lot more farmers are awake on different levels now as well, because obviously the inheritance tax thing has been a massive wake-up call for the farmers, because it affected every farmer. You might talk to the odd one 6 months ago who knew what was going on with the skies, or that the chemicals had depleted the soils, what it might be. But this has united the whole farming community without any doubt at all, and not just the farming community. I mean, I post videos on YouTube, Chris, on my channel, and without a doubt that there is no negative comments towards what the farmers are doing on the protests.
That's good.
People are completely behind them. And, when you get flippant, stupid conversations by our Prime Minister saying, well, guys, you need to really, make your decision as the members of the public. You need to, if you want to pay your mortgage and you want the NHS, we've got to tax the farmers. That was the daft-assest thing to say, because everybody's supporting the farmers and everybody can see through whitewash like that. So, I think as the tour develops, we're going to see perhaps a different tour as we go along, because obviously with the foodfindershub.co.uk, what we set up, Chris, that's still under development. We're still working our way through that. Over 7,500 people have now joined on there.
It's good, because it hasn't been going for long, has it?
No, it's only a few months, and we held back on the advertising. We kind of stepped right back from it because there was a couple of bits on it that were a bit quirky and weren't working properly. So we now got new web guys on working on that, and as that progresses and develops, there's going to be an ability for people to be able to find local produce from their local farmers and growers. And that might be something what's local, regional, national. If it's something that, I don't know, let's say fish, what only comes into Grimsby, it's all going to well searching for fish in Thetford, but, there's not too many trawlers. So we need to be able to search, locally, regionally and nationally. So as that progresses, the site progresses, and the fact that the tour's progressing, we're looking at doing 100 talks in the evenings. With the daytimes, we're going to spend our days going around farms, farm shops, butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, whoever it might be.
Don't forget to take your old It's the same one that Voda uses, I believe.
So what we want to be able to do is to document all this and show people through the videos and through the channels and through, people like yourself, Chris, which are kindly giving us the airtime, what is actually out there for people to buy if they don't want to support the supermarkets. And we're seeing vast amount of people which are supporting where we're going with this, coming away from the whole supermarket supply chain. We know it's a very vulnerable thing. We saw that during a cough-tough, jibby-jab time. We saw that there was a complete collapse of that system. And I don't think we're very far away from that now, but this time it would be a lot more severe, in my opinion, because then they had stuff in the system and now they don't have anything in the system. And what is in the system...
As in reserved food?
Yeah. And what I think the stuff what is sitting in the system at present will run out within hours, let alone days like it did last time. And they still had lorries coming into the country then. If just say, for instance, if there was an issue and they couldn't get the food into the country for whatever reason, then that would dry up really quickly. So the tour for me is about explaining to people how they can find another solution to do their shopping. And I mean their complete shopping as well. If you've got, organisations like the Good Food Project, for instance, they are right up in Perth in Scotland, long way up, but they sell all the groceries and everything that people would normally buy through supermarkets. I think they have over 2,000 products. So that's why I say, you might be that you can buy your milk locally, your meat locally, and your veg locally. But when it comes to the other products, it might be, if you don't want to go to a big shop, then you need to perhaps order that online. So there's becoming more and more options available, Chris, and that's what excites me. As we're going through this,
and also there is a huge. I think there's a much bigger. Not push. There's a much bigger. A lot of people want that kind of thing now.
Yeah, I think the demand's there, isn't
it? Yeah, they're more open to it. So now is a good time to sell. I should think if the people are anything like me, they're happy to get their meat from the butchers or a locally sourced place where you can buy it.
Yeah.
The fruit and veg from people like yourself, or just the Sunday market or Tuesday market or whatever it is, and farm shops. I suppose most people, the only thing that they would struggle to get are things like fat gits like me who really like, I just fancy some toffee popcorn or some, do you know what I mean? Like the comfort food full of shit that ain't any good for you anyway. Food.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
you said it yourself.
I acknowledge that. I do acknowledge that, but that being said,
it doesn't
when the kids want movie nights, I don't think a cucumber will cut it.
No.
So yeah, I'd love to start seeing some locally made chocolate and stuff like that from local farmers. And
well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff is out there, Chris. I mean, what I am finding is, for me, this is I think the biggest thing that's going to come out of this tour for me is the excitement of finding those people who are making that stuff that we just don't know about, getting them registered onto the Food Finders Hub so that people can then find them. And as I say, a lot of people who are joining supply nationally anyway. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of excitement out there for what's going on. There's a lot of people getting behind what we're doing. We've been offered some commercial sponsorship.
Oh, really? That's good.
Yeah. So that's we're in talks with that at the moment. The Christian Together organisation are also looking at some funding for us. So, and then
if anyone's watching this now and they want to chip in to help with whatever, obviously there's going to be running costs. You've got website costs. You've got the infrastructure of doing all this. How can people help?
Easy. If they go to thebowlerhatfarmer.com, that's thebowlerhatfarmer.com, and right at the top of the right-hand side of the page, there's a button called Donate, and people can donate, from as little as £1 up to whatever they like. We've had some fantastic donations in so far. I think we launched yesterday, and we've had just over £4,000 in today, Chris. So I think that says to me there's an excitement for what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve. And I'm sure that the biggest percentage of people, kindly like yourself, that have given me time to go on air on your channel, I've got lots of interviews booked up over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And, I'm hoping via that we can get that sum up. We've set a target of £100,000. What we really want to be able to do is to challenge the system. It's as simple as that. We've got to stand up against the government and tell them this isn't acceptable, what's going on with the farming side. We need to make provision for farmers to be able to earn a basic living, Chris, and that's something a lot of them haven't been able to do. I know people see massive farms where, people drive about in Range Rovers and say, oh, this was paid for by subsidies, but that's the tiniest amount of farmers. It's untrue. Most farmers live on the knife edge all the time and, add up their hours at the end of the year and work out about £3.25 an hour.
Well,
it shouldn't be too much for farmers to be...
they're out in all weathers. They're up at the crack of dawn. They quite often don't get home until the sun's gone down. And so they're bloody long old days that they put in. So I can't knock the farmers for that, really. Just, no.
Yeah, so I think it's that commitment. I think what people have seen over the years, Chris, is why the people are standing by the farmers this time round.
Mm.
I would just say to people, the farming community as a whole is really, really going to need your support over the next 4 weeks with various things which I think are going to happen. They're really going to need your support. And we need to be sensible from the farmers and the public to work together to bring an end to the nonsense. And yeah, that from my side, Chris, is what the tour's about. Like I say, if anyone could donate, great. And let's see how far we get. I really want to get into the point of challenging the government, challenging DEFRA, because the bureaucracy farmers have to deal with on a daily basis is just tyrannical. It's ridiculous. You've got to have the birds locked up. You've got to have the cows in. You're going to get TB. You're going to get blue tongue.
The
You're going
funny
to get
thing
bird
about
flu.
this, and this is why I don't understand why people don't see it as much as they should. But take the bird flu, for example, or whatever they're calling it at the moment. Why does it only seem to affect? Why are they're culling chickens and hens and stuff like that? What about the pigeons? What about the seagulls? What about the bluefinch in the garden? What about the robin? What about why? Do you know what I mean? They're picking purely on what you eat and what
They're picking on
meat
the
and
food.
eggs.
They're picking on the food supply chain. Yeah, they're picking on the protein and the meat, Chris. We know that's what's happening. You've only got to look in America. I don't know if you've followed in America at the moment, but just to give you an idea, what's the dollar worth to the pound? About 90 pence, probably. Eggs at the moment are $12 a dozen.
Really?
$12 a dozen. That's what eggs are making at the moment. 90% of the stores haven't got any. A restaurant in New York got robbed last night, and the only thing they took was their box of eggs. How bad is that?
Blimey, you would have thought it'd at least be saffron or something.
But hasn't it got bad when a tray of eggs is worth £25, Chris?
Yeah.
And this is what we're up against, and that's only down to two things. One, the government overreach in how far they think they have the right to destroy. If you get one bird ill on a farm, and some of these farms in America have 1 million chickens, and they get one bird what they decide is not very well, so they cull the 1 million chickens because one bird's got a cough. It's just ridiculous. It's just nonsense.
It's stupid, isn't it?
And we know it's an attack. It's nothing more.
No, absolutely. So going back to your tour then,
yes.
How can people find you? Now, I know obviously they can go on the bowlerhatfarmer.com, and the link for that will be in the video description along with your YouTube channel. So people
Thank you.
can obviously go and follow you over there. So is it like a ticket do? Will there be tickets on sale? Will they be in pubs? Will they be in halls?
Chris, the answer to that is all of the above. Right. So these are all been organised by different people. So some have been organised by community assemblies, some have been organised by churches, some have been organised by yellow board families. So this is a wide variety. We've got some in hotels. I've got one at a summer camp for a Christian church. I've got one I'm doing on a farm, one I'm doing inside someone's dairy parlour, one I'm doing in a stately home. They're literally just all over the place. And everyone differs. But if you go onto the bowlerhatfarmer.com, as we're getting them fully sorted out and listed, they're all listed on the website. And it tells you at the bottom how you book your tickets, whether that's via an email or a phone number in accordance to that person, and how much the ticket is, or if it's donation on the door, whatever. It gives all that information.
No, that's good. Well, I wish you all the very best for that. That's going to be a busy year for you. But it's good. It's good.
I'll tell you what I'm excited about, Chris. Obviously, you've met Gloria, my partner.
I have,
she's been with me now
Delightful.
for over a year. She's new to the country. She's moved here from Nigeria, and she's going to get the chance to go and see the UK after 1 year as well, probably better, because she'll have the chance to go and look about while I'm busy. Than I've had 57 years to do. And that really excites me from my side to be able to take her as much as anything on the journey, because she's going to do the documentation of me doing the documentary.
Behind the
so
scenes, I believe they
yeah,
call it.
so I'm hoping that will give us some real good in-depth footage, because it's all good and well me doing an interview with somebody and saying, oh, yeah, here's a list of questions. But when you see the behind-the-scenes stuff, you know, and especially all like the outtakes and the cock-ups, that's what's going to make it special. So, yeah, I am excited to go on the tour. I'll tell you what really concerns me, Chris, is the reason we're having to do it.
Yes. No,
And, you know,
100%.
I know we're going to meet a lot of lovely people along the way. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to have tears and tantrums about what I'm going to talk about, because there's the tears from the people who are genuinely concerned. I see that every day on social media. And then you're going to get the farmers that don't want to hear what I've got to say because it's the truth and they don't want to accept it. And we sadly see that all the time through posting on social media. So it's going to be a roller coaster, that's for sure.
Would you say that's 50-50 with regards to the farmers that are for and the farmers that just don't want to know?
I would say it's actually 30% are now believers, 30% are realise something's wrong but they don't know what, and 40% are in complete denial that anything is wrong. You know,
So that really needs work, doesn't it? Because for this whole movement to work, we need those farmers that at the moment are looking at us like we're crackers. So that's quite a battle, isn't it? That's quite
I mean, what I will say, Chris, is I'm on all the big WhatsApp groups for Farmers to Action, Farmers No Food, all sorts of groups that I belong to on the WhatsApp groups. There is thousands of farmers on these groups. And what I will say is I'm definitely seeing a push in the right direction for farmers to start to understand that they need to change the way they farm. They need to find solutions for what's going on. And they're starting to understand that something is definitely not right. And that it is a direct attack on their livelihoods, what is actually happening.
No, 100%. Which brings me on to did you go to the last, there was a farmer protest, wasn't there, in London? Was it last weekend or last Monday or something? Yeah. What was that? What I didn't go.
I didn't go, Chris. I've got to be honest. I was working. For me, do the protests do any good? I think protests in the right place can do good. I don't necessarily think that going to London with 3,000 tractors is the right thing to do. I think there's better things you could do with 3,000 tractors on the road. And sadly, I think the government's about to find out what they might be. But for me, no, I went to the first one. I realised how hijacked it was by the NFU and politicians who had no vested interest in helping the farmers. I documented that and thought to myself, I'm going to get myself hung. But soon come to realise that everybody supported my thoughts because the people what were there, and there was over, I think, 10, 12,000 of us down there, that it was very much not in the direction the farmers wanted it to go. So there were some great speakers who weren't given the opportunity to talk. So, yeah, I think we're going to see some changes on that, Chris. And that's one of the things, I want to do on the tour is to give farmers the opportunity to come and voice their concerns, their comments, their thoughts to an audience. Because, if they're in their town, the chances are they're going to know a big percentage of the audience what they're talking to. And, I mean, we're going right up to the north end of Wales, right the way across to Melthorpe on the right-hand side of the coast. We're going up to Grimsby. We're going across to Merseyside, heading up to Cumbria for August Bank Holiday. It's going to be a whirlwind, Chris, and we'll keep you informed along the way.
Yeah, definitely. And if you ever want any help with editing or anything that you put out, then I'm more than happy to help.
Excellent. Well, I might have to take you up on that because I'm about as technical as a wet lettuce, Chris. I have the ability to click my phone to press record and stop it, and I do everything live because I don't know how to edit, so I've got no.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, because I'm guessing Gloria does editing.
Yeah, Gloria's now getting to understand a lot more about the editing at present. Where I just literally stick everything up. The video is the video. If I've said something wrong, I'll get myself in trouble. Gloria runs her own channel, Ogie Speaks, and with her channel, she's kind of talking about this from a slightly different angle about food quality, food nutrition, eating healthy, and that side of things. And she edits all her own stuff, so she's very good at that, where I'm not.
No, well, the offer's there if you want it.
Thank you, Chris.
But no, that's brilliant. Well, listen, all the best. I hope it all goes well. I'm sure it will, because you're doing God's work, and it has to go well. We're depending on you.
We don't have any other option but to win this. Otherwise, we're all going to go hungry, and I'm not going to let my kids and grandkids go hungry. So the government better either step up or step to one side, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree with you. Couldn't have put it better myself. Well, I hope everyone watching this has enjoyed it. Please do go and check out the Bowler Hat Farmer. His, like I said, the YouTube channel and his website address will all be in the video description. And if you send me a link to Gloria's, I'll bung hers in there as well. So hopefully people can sign over to Gloria as well. But look after yourselves, take care, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.